up everyone, I'm back again. So I just wanted to do a quick comparison video between the Xperia Z2 and the LG G2, two very high-end flagships in the Android space, with the Z2 being that little bit more newer, running a slightly more advanced processor and with some slightly higher specifications, but I have to say that I think that it's got its work cut out for it going up against the LG G2, which even though runs a slightly lesser processor, it was well ahead of the game back in 2013. So as you can see, both of the handsets take slightly different design philosophies. I should say very different design philosophies, with the Z2 clearly looking more premium, according to, I'd say, most people. It's made primarily of glass kind of construction, with kind of like aluminium on the sides of the device. It's quite taller as well than the LG G2, with a 5.2 inch display, and it feels quite a bit heftier as well. If you hold both of them, you certainly do feel the heft in comparison to the LG G2. I'd say that in terms of thumb stretching, they're both requiring quite a bit of manoeuvring, but I'd say that the LG G2 is that bit more ergonomic in the hand, even though it doesn't feel as premium. So it's a real trade-off here, really. You've got the premium feeling Z2 versus the more ergonomic feeling but less aesthetic LG G2. So I think that most users will be happy with the way that they're constructed. They're very solid in the hand. Obviously, with the Z2, you do have the waterproofing with the flaps and the ability to shoot video underwater, which is a nice addition. You don't get that with the LG G2, unfortunately. However, it does mean that you don't have to bother with flaps. So when you're in your bed at night, you don't have to kind of fiddle around looking for the charging port. Yeah, as I said, they both have quite different design philosophies. Oh, and let's not forget the LG G2 does have its buttons on the back, so that's either a love it or hate it feature. Some people may not like that, but I don't really find it that much of an issue, because you can obviously double tap the screen to wake it. The Z2 also has a physical shutter button, so that's better for people who like their photography. When you do turn on the displays, as you can see, I'm so used to the double tap feature. I tried it on the Z2, but you can't do it, unfortunately. But you are greeted with extremely nice displays. They're both full HD, and they both IPS LCD panels. The technology that LG calls its displays the true IPS display, and Sony calls its display the triluminous reality display. But semantics aside, they're both, to me, I'd say roughly equivalent in terms of how they look. They're very nice to look at and offer excellent viewing angles. Outdoors viewing is very clear and crisp. There's absolutely no issues in regards to the display on each one. If I was to be really picky, I'd say that the LG G2 probably washes out a slight bit more than the Z2, and goes a bit orange, slightly orangey when you look at it from angles. I don't know if you can see that, but that's being very picky. In day-to-day usage, you'll find that you won't really get much of an issue with the displays on these devices. They're absolutely brilliant, and I can't really narrow down which one would be better, in terms of just comparing them side by side. I think they both offer excellent viewing experiences. Probably the Sony Xperia Z2 is better for watching videos on, but I'm not one to really watch videos on my device anyway, so yeah, just something to bear in mind really. In regards to the actual processing technology, as I said earlier, the Z2 is running a slightly more advanced processor, which is Snapdragon 801 with 3 gigs of RAM, and the LG G2 is running a Snapdragon 800 processor with 2 gigs of RAM. They're both clocked, I think, at slightly different speeds as well. I think the Z2's are either 2.5 gigahertz or something like that, whereas the G2 is about 2.2 or 2.3 gigahertz. But numbers aside, I have yet to slow down really either device. If I'm going to be absolutely honest with you, I really can't tell a difference in terms of the actual performance of each device. Users are going to get an excellent experience on whichever one they choose. However, you do have to remember that the G2 is pretty much half the price of the Z2. So if you're more budget conscious, then you'll be happy to know that you're not going to be getting an inferior experience when it comes to opening up stuff and doing the day-to-day duties. If I just show you a bit of web browsing, for example, you see there that the G2 opened up the page a bit quicker, but there wasn't really much in it. As you can see, both of them handle zooming in without much of a sweat. Web browsing is just going to be a breeze on both of them. It's not going to be an issue whatsoever. In regards to going to the Play Store, it's very smooth on both of them. No issues there whatsoever. The only issue, as usual, is my connection, but if we do a quick quadrant test, I'm not really one much for benchmarks, but on head-to-heads it is quite interesting to see if there is any differences. So it looks like the Z2 is just pulling ahead, but there's really very little in it. If you ask me, I'm a bit disappointed with the performance of the Snapdragon 801. I thought it would be much more kind of revolutionary than it is. Maybe we'll get that revolutionary performance with the 64-bit processors that are due to come out. But this is quite strange. The G2 seems to have scored higher than the Z2. Don't know if you can see that, but I wasn't expecting that. I'm not sure why that is actually. It looks like the G2 scored higher in terms of the CPU and less in terms of the memory, which is understandable because the Z2 has more memory. But certainly surprising how the G2 beats the Z2 in terms of quadrant. Yeah, as I said, that aside, I don't think that's going to make much of a difference in terms of the excellent performance on both of them. And maybe it could be down to just kind of like a software issue on the Z2, as it's a very new device, so Sony may not have rolled out kind of the most stable software, and we know that software can make a big difference in terms of performance. If I just quickly open up some apps randomly, so roughly about the same there. If we try and open up what's a good app to open up, you see they're both running different skins, so it's quite hard to find a similar app on both of them, but yeah, you get the gist anyway. I think that in general software updates may improve the performance of the Z2, but for now I think the G2 is probably running a more stable software, and thus that's why it scores higher on quadrant, which was quite a surprise. But moving on to the camera technology, they both have excellent cameras. The Z2 has a 20 megapixel camera, which is supporting quite a number of different features such as 4K as well as underwater recording. The G2 has a 13 megapixel camera, which I think it does support 4K on some variants of the G2. They rolled out a software update to allow that. When you do go into the camera app on both of them, you'll find quite a lot of different settings. On both of them, the Z2 does support quite a lot of different modes on it, which you can put on AR effects, all sorts of effects that I probably won't use because I don't know what they do, and I tend to just use the camera on the Xperia auto mode just to get the best picture, although I am interested in the 4K performance to see how that compares to some of the other 4K recording devices. And I also do like the way that you can edit things on the Z2, so that once you've taken like a video or picture, you can quickly edit it. I did miss that on the Nexus 5 that I was reviewing. On the G2, again, you do have quite a multitude of options, which allow you to take a shot in a slightly better way. Similar to the Samsung devices, it comes with beauty shot, panorama, all sorts of stuff that I wouldn't probably use because I'd keep it on either intelligent auto or just normal. I am a bit disappointed with the LG G2's video recording capability. It's good, but I think that they could have made more modes, like some more modes to control, like the white balance and exposure and things like that. I think it's a bit limited in regards to that, so I have installed another camera app on the device to make up for that shortfall. But in terms of general performance of both both cameras, you're going to get excellent pictures with them, both in normal light and in low light. I'd say that the Z2 will probably do better simply because it's a newer device in general, but I think that you shouldn't count out the LG G2's capabilities. It is considered one of the best Android camera phones out there still. Yeah, I think the person who has £500 to spend will certainly see benefits in terms of the videos that they do shoot. And let's not forget the LG G2 unfortunately doesn't have a micro SD expandability, so if you get the 16 gig model, then you're going to run out of storage quite quickly using 4K or Full HD, whereas you can expand this up to 128 gigs, so that's obviously more useful for people who take a lot of video recording. Yeah, both decent camera phones, no complaints there. In terms of battery life, as you may have noticed in this video, the LG G2 is slowly running out of battery, apart from that, you will find that the battery life on the LG G2 is still fantastic. It comes with a 38,000 mAh battery, which is fixed and non-removable, and this regularly gets me through a day and a half, I'd say, of very heavy usage, or 2 days of moderate to heavy usage. The Sony Z2 is also very good in terms of battery life. It's probably not as good as I thought it would be with the newer processor and the slightly larger 3200 mAh battery, but it still holds its own against some of the better battery devices, and it does come with Sony's suite of power management applications, so you can fine-tune it to be even better. That said, the LG G2 also comes with some power management stuff using the battery saver, which, as you can see, is set to kick in at 10% if you turn it on, or you can change that to set at a different level, and you can change it also to affect different things such as the brightness, the Wi-Fi, etc. So they're both excellent in terms of battery life. I wouldn't worry about that whatsoever. In regards to the actual sound quality of both devices, I'd say that the sound quality on the Z2 is probably not as good as I thought it would be. As you may have seen on the review video, it does make enough noise through the speaker, which is on the bottom, but it's certainly not much of an improvement over the Z1. The LG G2, again, it does a decent job of putting out sound through its bottom speakers, which it does have two nice speakers there, but again, I'd say it's not the best, and you do tend to cover it a lot when you're holding the device, which is quite annoying. But so they both do the job in terms of output, but nothing special. In regards to the actual sound quality through the headphones, though, I'd say that the Z2 is much better, and I'd say that part of that would be due to the equalizer type of stuff that you can set using the Walkman app. You can set all sorts of different technologies that Sony has on its device, but on the LG G2 you do have a few like equalizer options, but they're not as I'd say in depth as the Z2. If I just quickly show you, you can set a few different things on there, such as bass booster, treble booster, or a custom profile to your heart's content. But yeah, you know, in general, the Z2 is much more, I'd say, better in terms of customizability as well as just sound quality. The music sounds more bassier, and coupled with the Xperia Z2's noise cancelling earphones that you get with the actual device, it just blows away most devices. In regards to the actual software that both of them are running, as you can see, they are running their own skins. I've not rooted the devices or anything. I do like to keep my devices stock in general. The Sony is running its Sony UI, which used to be called Timescape. I'm not sure if it's still called that. And it's I'm very happy with the Sony UI. I think it's a very nice, clean skin of Android, which works quite well, and no issues with it really. The LG G2, one of the commonly cited issues with the device is that the software is bloated and you know, a bit overbearing and confusing. I'd say that the drop down notification area is quite ugly, particularly compared to the Z2. But other than that, I think that the software on the LG G2 is very decent. You know, it gets the job done. I don't have any real issues with it in terms of slowness or anything like that, which may have affected it at first, but has been subsequently fixed. Yeah, I think that in general, the Z2 has the better notification shade area and looks more cleaner, but don't you know, count out the LG G2 or think that the skin's going to make the device bad in any respect. It's still a decent skin in its own right, and it certainly gets the job done. They are both running Android KitKat 4.4.2, so hopefully both manufacturers will update to the latest KitKat soon. In regards to the actual bundled apps that you get with both devices, you do get some LG bloat on the G2, such as LG Smart World. I've never really clicked on that, to be honest, so I don't know what it is. Polaris Viewer, I didn't install that. Quick Translator. So there are a few stuff on there. There are some other stuff that LG also adds into the experience, such as Q Slide, which if I'm to be absolutely honest, I don't really use. But as far as I'm aware, you can use it to multitask and have smaller like apps on the screen as you do other things. So it could be useful for people who are used to that kind of thing on Samsung devices with multi-window and all that. But personally, you know, I've not really used it that much. You do have also Q Voice on there, which is kind of like S Voice. Again, I've not really used that much. So you know, you do have quite a lot of stuff on there. Some of it useful, some of it not so much. The Z2 is a much more focused device in regards to giving you a bundle of Sony's kind of applications, which it uses to deliver content such as music unlimited, video unlimited. You can get subscriptions to get access to a whole load of videos and music if you wish. You do also get the ability to use the device as a remote control, similar to the LG G2. But a lot of the other stuff I've not really used much, so I wouldn't know how it works yet. If I find a need to use it, then I will, but for now I don't own a PlayStation, I own an Xbox, so I'm not going to use it yet. But yeah, software wise, you're covered in regards to what you want. It's going to be on there, and if you don't like it, you could always root the devices and have a more stock experience. Yeah, I think that about covers it for both devices. Whichever one you choose, at the end of the day you're getting a fantastic Android experience. I think it just depends on your own budget really. If you can afford to plonk down 500 quid for a smartphone, then the Z2 I'd say is probably the slightly better option. But again, I think that in terms of value for money, you can't really beat the LG G2 at the moment. I think that the very fact that you can buy one for about 280 quid, which is similar price to the Nexus 5, I just think that it's still an awesome device to own. Yeah, I hope you found this video informative, and if you do, please subscribe or like the video, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.